you're watching this, then you could live forever. But how? Well, luckily I have this book, and it's going to tell me in 4 steps exactly how to get there. Simple, right? Take a look at this graph. It shows human life expectancy over the last few centuries. Look, we are at the top of this big jump, but extend it forward and something remarkable happens. Suddenly, we are right at the cusp of escaping death. So, what is step 1? It says, stop killing yourself. What could that mean? Okay, so let's say this is Joe. He's just the average American. 5'9", about 40 pounds overweight, categorizing him as obese. His current life expectancy is 76 years old. Not bad, but we can do better. This is actually something we want to be tracking throughout the video, as well as other metrics, so you're going to see it here or here or whatever. Stop Joe from basically killing himself and officially start the first step to living forever. We will put him on a diet. He will lower his daily 2,200 calories down to 1,700, losing 40 pounds in a few months. Weight is actually the number 2 correspondent to heart issues after genetics, and heart issues are the biggest killer in the US. He'll start sleeping 8 hours a night instead of his regular 6.5, and just look at that beautiful meter start going up. He will go to the gym 3 days a week, stop smoking, drinking, and vaping, and make a few more changes that will also improve his mental health. And just like that, Joe has added, 10 more years to his life? Damn, Joe, looking good. That's cool and all, but before we move on to our other steps, don't you find it a little weird how someone can just add 10 more years to their life with effectively a very reasonable change of lifestyle? Well, it's not a coincidence because there's a whole system working against you. If you want to figure anything, no, that's not right. If you want to figure anything out, just follow the money. The 3 clear biggest destructors to health in the US and in the world can generally be sorted into output, input, and a sneaky third thing. What you intake is food and drugs, alcohol, weed, tobacco. So let's follow the money. It turns out that the food industry alone is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. And how do they make more money? Well, if you eat more, you eat more, you get fatter, you die sooner. It's their core business model, and that's why companies like McDonald's and PepsiCo spend billions of dollars each year engineering their food to have maximum dopamine output, but minimal satiation. Those 2 things combined make foods most addictive. The drug industry is even simpler. We know that cigarettes and alcohol are near equivalents to consuming poison. They are light drugs meant to make you addicted. The inputs alone take away 4 years from the average American. Output. Exercise is generally not fun, so let's follow the money. The pharmaceutical industry, turns out, loves when you get diabetes because they make so much money from selling you medications. Type 2 diabetes is largely preventable by exercise, and the pharmaceutical industry secretly spends millions of dollars trying any way they can to make you less likely to exercise. The gym industry is also surprisingly guilty. Planet Fitness notoriously oversells memberships, betting on the fact that you won't show up at all. If you show up, they just care if you pay for the membership. So they intentionally design their gyms to be less comfortable. Another 2 years. Why do we love to romanticize about living forever in the first place? Well, it turns out the desire is ancient. For as long as humans have existed, we have tried to understand the mystery of death. We're so afraid of it, so in love with the idea of defeating it, that it is the backbone to most religions. Heaven and hell are all concepts developed by religion to solve death. The most popular book series in history focused on a guy trying to defeat death. Step 2. Let's check the book. Step 2 says to maximize what most people can do. Joe will now commit to a rigorous sleep schedule. He will go to sleep and wake up at the same time every single day, because we have seen that consistency is often just as important as duration. He will sleep in full darkness, which will promote the sleepy hormones, and his room will be cooled down to exactly 16.5 degrees C or 62 F. This will lower his core temperature, lowering his heart rate, making him more relaxed and making it easier for him to fall asleep and stay asleep. And he will also have a strict bedtime routine. Joe will be tracking his macros, fats, carbs, and proteins, and he will also track his micronutrients. He will eat exactly what he needs, nothing less and nothing more. He will avoid the sun at noon to protect his skin and filtrate the air in his home in order to reduce the risk of inhaling toxins. And he will also perfectly time every day dozens of different supplements. You'll have an exercise coach that will balance his routine between strength, flexibility, and cardiovascular work. Exercise actually damages the muscle, but once they repair stronger and bigger. This is crucial for preventing injury and for strengthening his heart. As we said, heart issues are the number one killer in the US. Joe is now predicted to live well into his 90s. Have you noticed? This is getting a little expensive. But there's still one more category: sleep. Turns out that one of the most crucial aspects of health is sleep. So let's follow the money. Well, what do you know? Meta and TikTok, they love those late night doom scrolls because that's when they make a lot of their money. When you're just in bed for an hour, another video. Every swipe is more money for the social media companies. The CEO of Netflix himself even once said
the company's binge-watching strategy forces it to compete with
another
sleep.
4 years. The money Joe has already spent on supplements, gear, and equipment is already entering the outer range of what most people would be willing to spend on their health. But heads up, this meter is way too small even for step 3. This leads to an obvious question. If becoming nearly immortal is so expensive, then who gets to do so? Surely not everybody, right? In the US, there isn't even proper public health care. Is living forever going to be a commodity only the ultra rich can afford? Well, we've already seen this in other places. GLP-1 drugs, the ones like Ozempic. Most regular people can't get access to them with Medicaid. Regular people can get access to doctors who actually know them and can recognize patterns over time. And they can get access to top-tier mental health professionals. These are some of the reasons why the top 1% of earners are already living roughly 6 more years than the average American. One of the things that fascinated me most about this topic, correctness of it, is it even right to stop death? There are a lot of reasons why you would decide to live forever. For starters, imagine if you spent hundreds, if not thousands, or tens of thousands of years mastering one skill. Imagine the mastery of someone who has been playing the piano for centuries. You could probably master dozens, hundreds of skills. If you live forever, there's nothing you couldn't do. You could travel the entire world, even the solar system. The depth you would gain in relationships, the memories you would have, the potential, the opportunities you would have when there is no pressure. You could spend decades going down the wrong rabbit hole and it wouldn't really matter because there's tomorrow. But it wouldn't all be good, and I'll get to it. Step 3, let's see. Interesting. Up until now, the first 2 steps were mostly within the extreme reach of a normal person. But this next step takes it up a whole new level. You're visually graduating from regular exercise, good sleep hygiene, and a balanced diet, and moving on towards something much more delicate and less studied. You are now the experiment. Joe will hire a team to get as many different tests as possible to cover on all bases. They will track individual organs and assign their own age. Like a heart could be 35 years old and the liver could be 48. They will do all types of scans and blood tests. And once they have collected all those tests, they will gather them up and develop a software that can analyze all the data and make something actually of it. Using the data, they will make small adjustments. They will track over time and keep adjusting. These should hopefully make a large impact in the long run. They also have you experiment with less studied therapies like red light therapy or hyperbolic oxygen therapy, which puts you in a low pressure cage where you breathe in a much higher concentration of oxygen. Even things like ripamycin senolytics, whatever the hell that is. All of these different therapies can hopefully push you to live past 100 years old. But book you promised forever. 100 is a little less than forever, I believe. True, but it's because we're still missing one crucial step. It might surprise you, but I'm yet to make up any therapy or treatment or anything in this video. By the way, all my sources are down in the description if you want to check them out for yourself. Most of the experimental and even the regular protocols I've mentioned so far come mostly from this guy. And him too, but we'll talk about him later. This guy is a centimillionaire who has committed the last few years of his life to living forever. He has been very committed, doing things I think most wouldn't. And even though this is the internet and you shouldn't trust everything you see, I do believe this guy. Like, look at him. This really shows the difficulty of the thing we are trying to pull off. This guy has spent tens of millions of dollars and has made it his full-time job to essentially reverse back his age, which is debatable if that's even possible. But he's still in his 40s. We still don't know if what he is doing is actually working. But where we can look at someone who is quite old is Larry Ellison. This guy is the second richest person in the world, in very close ties with the US government. Wait, why is that important? You'll see. And he is also 81. His quest to living forever is quite less documented than Brian's. But we do know he has spent pennies, I mean tens of millions of dollars, trying to live forever as well. And for 81, he looks pretty good. If in 10 years he's still kicking around, you know, this guy's 83 and we all thought he was going to... I don't want to make it seem like I'm making a threat about a previous president. So let's say you have completed step 4, which is coming up in a minute. You have actually successfully managed to solve death. You are thousands of years old. You have been able to do anything you could imagine. You have traveled. You have developed all these great skills, all the good stuff. But aren't you starting to get a little bored? Aren't you just kind of going through your whole life feeling meh? Like, where's the purpose if you waste thousands of lives worth of time? And it wouldn't matter because you could just make a different choice tomorrow. There's never scarcity, never a rush, never any reason to get off the couch because your life is endless. I'll just do it tomorrow. And there could never be a consequence for that. I wouldn't be here late at night recording this if I didn't feel pressure to get this out in time. If I wasn't going all in on 100,000 subscribers by next summer, so you could help. Whatever, I'll get to it next year, right? At the beginning, I showed you this graph. Oh, that got a little deep. So step 4, let's see. Joe will become an early adopter of CRISPR gene editing, basically editing out all the small mistakes in his DNA or biological code. He could remove all diseases or add things to make him stronger, less susceptible to viruses, allowing him to override genetic limitations that might actually be holding him back from living for longer. Okay, so now Joe can become the longest living person ever. He won't have a lot more to go. So he replaces all his organs one by one with synthetic variations that are still biological. There's nothing anymore that can kill him aside from accidents. And that Joe's brain is starting to deteriorate. He can live hundreds more years probably, but at some point his brain will just give up. You can't replace or edit his brain to become stronger, right? Right? Well, the ultimate way to become not just undying but practically immortal to aging, diseases, and any accident at all is to simply ditch your regular body. And yeah, that means your brain too. Uploading your memories and living as you, just not you. I have a whole video on the complications of this. You scan your brain and build it virtually, neuron by neuron, which then means you can live anywhere on a server or computer phone, on some chip that could be placed inside a body. It'll still be exactly like you, and you'll also have all the other capabilities of regular technology. But is it actually still you? If you replaced every part of a hammer, it's still the same hammer? But truthfully, the atoms that make up your brain are constantly being swapped out, and atoms are identical to each other. Like a hydrogen isotope is identical to the same hydrogen isotope. Because of that, technically, no part of who you were physically 10 years ago is still you. But also, if you had a copy of you sitting around, probably wouldn't say it was you. One of the things we have yet to touch on are the systems that would actually be affected if people started living forever, if it becomes accessible to everyone. Like, what would happen to retirement and pensions if people become more than capable to work in their hundreds? What happens to inheritance if people aren't dying? What happens to religion? Most, as we mentioned, are centered around the idea of the mystery of death. And maybe the most important question, what happens when people aren't dying and only reproducing? Suddenly the population increases by double its current pace. That means more homes, more food, more jobs, more roads. These things need to be accounted for. At the beginning I showed you this graph. I said it was a graph showing life expectancy. And I also said that we were right at the cusp of escaping death. This is known as death escape velocity. As brilliant as the steps that I laid out, which didn't make up at all, it's unreasonable to assume that in a few years we will go from dying at 75 to not dying at all. But what is possible is that we are living in an incredible age where every year you live, science advances you forward, adding on the back end and allowing you to live more than a year. It's likely that most of us will live well into our 80s, but maybe by the time we get there, the technology and science have developed enough to where we could live into our 90s or hundreds, the escape velocity. But whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I guess is for you to determine.